Welcome back to the pregame show with our fancy fucking intro. I hope you all like it. That's what watching YouTube seminars do for you. You learn little things you should do ahead of time. So,
Jay's been getting his business management head on for the YouTube side of things. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry guys, I'm sat here reeling right now. I'm trying to fix my fantasy football life after Jamar Chase seems to be out for 4 to 6 weeks.
yeah, you had some bad luck with injuries and guys you probably really needed to rely on the home stretch.
Yeah, so Brees Hall and Jamar Chase are both my two top scorers. So that's my fantasy football season over because nobody's fucking trading to me either because I don't have anything worth trading right now. So that's great. But so welcome back to another week of football. Week 8 begins in a few hours, and we're here to break down what happened last week and talk about a few other things going into this week as well.
So where you want to start, Maddie?
Yeah, I mean, should we talk about what that injury does to the Bengals' opportunities? Because I think that leads very nicely into where my power rankings have gone for this week, if that's something that you want to talk about.
Yeah, I want to say something quick about power rankings, right? And I don't care about power rankings.
Yeah.
But how the Vikings go from 4 to 7 without even playing, I'm not even sure how power rankings work.
Yeah, I think it's like when you see.
That's the thing. It's like there's no rhyme or reason.
No.
So my point is, our power rankings are just as good as anybody else's.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, when you listen to our power rankings may be better because we have no idea how other people's power rankings work. So we just do them off our own backs.
Right.
I don't even look at other people's power rankings before doing mine. I just write 10 down and then go through other people's to make sure I haven't forgotten anybody obvious after that one time I left off the Titans when they were 7-1 or something. Like and it was just in the comments like, Matt did power rankings last week and it was Titans were 3rd and now they're not even on there. What's going on? And I was like, hey guys.
So do you think now Jamar Chase being injured that the Bengals are going to have to go out and try to trade for somebody if he is really out the 4 to 6 weeks?
No, I don't think so. I think they've got this crazy high flying offense that they have multiple guys in. They also have a quality running back called Joe Mixon. They have T. Higgins. They have Boyd as well. They've got serious weaponry out there. It does bring them more into the OBJ conversation, though.
I actually say that this injury, the Bengals might be dead. And the reason I say that is bad offensive line, and the one guy who gets everybody open is injured, and the one guy you go to whenever you're like, oh shit, is injured.
Yeah, exactly. Like the one guy who he seems to get open as well. PFF have got this amazing. You bastard, honestly.
Hey, you guys, who's watching the fantasy, if it was not for Maddie there, you wouldn't have had him till next week, Prince KT, because I didn't know there was a trade. So you guys got to message me and let me know you have an accepted trade so I can push it through.
Bloomdahl is playing against me this week, so that was in my best interest to move him on. But I didn't realize that what would have happened if I didn't say the trade. But at least McCaffrey's not
better off than with Travis Kelce.
I mean, Bloomdahl is.
Yeah. I love I'm not a bragger on this shit, but I love it when somebody's like, bro, I almost had you. And then I always think of like Fast and Furious. You almost had me. You never had me. You never had the game.
Yeah. And I mean, Travis Kelce isn't playing this week because he's on a bye.
No, I got lucky though. Prince KT had like everybody on a bye.
Yeah,
I was like, thank you. Let's make this a lot simpler. Because going into Monday night, his kicker needed like 26 points to win or something.
Yeah. But Yeah, so I do agree with you. I think the Bengals are a lot weaker. That's been shown in my power rankings, which is why I wanted to get your feeling about Jamar Chase on. So I think it does weaken them in their power rankings because we need to see what they've got without Jamar Chase, because Jamar Chase is elite. Jamar Chase is an elite wide receiver. It is important that it is only one reporter that's come out and said that Jamar Chase is out for 4 to 6 weeks. There are other.
Garofolo just updated it too. He said that he was mistaken and that it does look like it's 4 to 6 weeks.
Cool. Awesome. Great. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the Bengals offense is going to come up with. It brings them definitely into the OBJ sweepstakes. I mean, we spoke about it earlier. Go watch the other podcast to hear who else we think OBJ might be going to. But if this injury happened yesterday, do the Chiefs pull off Kadarius Toney as easily? Like, would the Bengals maybe have gone in for somebody like Kadarius Toney? Not a very similar wide receiver to Jamar Chase, though.
Well, I don't think they're really in the OBJ race either for two reasons. One, did not seem like OBJ loved living in Ohio. And two, their owner ain't going to pay anything.
Yeah. It's another example of the Bengals being hamstrung by their owner again. Like, I know you can't get rid of owners in the NFL because they're not spending money or they're not doing this, they're not doing that. And it's Dan Snyder's proof that it's not easy to get rid of an owner in the NFL. But he's not running that franchise in the best interest of the franchise, in my personal opinion, which is difficult to say after they've just hit the Super Bowl. But the only reason they've just hit the Super Bowl, there's been so much talent that's passed through Cincinnati in years gone by, and they've only just reached the Super Bowl is how I look at it. So if you're the owner, prove to us. You don't have anything to prove to me and Jay, but I just mean prove to the NFL fan base in general that you have a reason to be owning this football team and that you want to win. I like the idea of them going out to trade. I don't think they necessarily need to as much as some other teams.
All right.
Brandon Cooks, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I should have looked. I don't know where they are in cap space either, but like we talked about before we recorded earlier, GMs can make moves to do it.
Yeah.
Also, people want to act like Brandon Cooks has no say because he doesn't have a no trade in his clause. Yeah. But it's very easy for a player to have his agent call a team and go, I don't want to fucking be there.
Yeah, and you don't want players that don't want to be there. It destroys the vibe of the locker room.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin has the greatest quote when they asked him why they traded some of the players they have in the past. And he said, we want volunteers, not hostages.
Yeah. Imagine if Antonio Brown gets the call from Cincinnati.
I know it's a joke, but if they bring that scumbag back to the NFL, I'll have a real problem with whatever team does it.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to think of some wide receivers that I'm very comfortable where they are right now and could do with a new system upgrade. Oh, DJ Moore. Call the Panthers. Anybody who needs a wide receiver, call the Panthers. Their entire organization is up for sale. Call the Panthers.
And all the players they say we would never trade, that just means we want a lot of shit to trade for. Yeah. That I really, truly believe right now in the NFL, there is only 6 untradeable players. 6. I think it's Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Micah Parsons, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase. I think those are the only 6 players that no matter what you offer, unless you were going to offer Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, but that would never happen, are untradeable. I don't think the teams would even 3 first-round picks. No, thank you.
Yeah, like a Justin Herbert, maybe.
Oh, he would probably be in there too. Yeah. But I just went off the top of my head. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's say there's 10 or less players that are untradeable.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's pretty wild. Like, it's pretty wild to think like they won't be picking up the phone. It'd be crazy if they don't pick up the phone and just ring, like, just see what they could get. If I'm the Bengals, I'm not mortgaging anything. Like, I'm not giving away a shit ton. Like, they've got problems.
Even if it kills this year, your future is bright. You just need to work on a few things. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, they've got problems that take a first-round pick to fix them as well. So their offensive line still needs help. So that takes a first-round pick to fix them. So you don't want to give up a first-round pick which can potentially be used for an O-lineman on a wide receiver when, as soon as Jamar Chase comes back, that kind of trade deal doesn't get made redundant. But the way that their offense plays, they've got 3 amazing receiving options. So, I wouldn't. I'd be calling around if I'm the Bengals, but it's not a necessity for them.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit of the Green Bay Packers, Maddie. We should talk some Green Bay Packers losing to another New York team. New York's on fire right now in football, which nobody thought was going to happen. Yeah. So good shout out to New York for that.
Yeah. And then they get that arse beat by the Commanders, who are terrible.
Well, yes, I was just going to say. And then you walk into Washington and take a beating. They lost 3 games. I think that I picked them to win going in. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as they lost to the Giants, I saw the Jets coming. I think the 2 New York teams are on fire. Like, I think we'll see how the Jets come out now with Breece Hall injured. But we'll see how the New York teams, when they played against the Packers, were at the top of their game. And they're getting slept on, I think. And the Packers are being held in too high esteem. But the Commanders aren't good. Like the Commanders really aren't good, and to play that badly as well, and it's that underneath pass, taking no risks when you've got this elite Aaron Rodgers, and he did that when Devontae Adams was there. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is falling further and further down in my estimations, and then to come out on the Pat McAfee show and blame the young guys, and then did you see where he kind of he said that McAfee, he said to McAfee, like, don't take me out of context about something earlier on in the show. And then he fucking drops that bomb of, we need to start cutting guys' reps. Maybe we need to start cutting your reps. Just put Jordan Love in there because your season's over.
So either of them receivers are running the wrong routes, or Rodgers is overthrowing guys by fucking 7 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just on the shitty underneath routes as well, most importantly.
Yeah, I know people don't like him coming out, but I almost have to believe it's the receivers more than Rodgers, only because I've seen Rodgers do it for so many fucking years. But I'm never a fan of throwing your team under the bus. I'm not. You can say, like, our offense needs to play better. We need to do this. We need to do that. Our defense. And I would almost say, if you're an offensive player, shut your mouth about the defense. And if you're a defensive player, shut your mouth about the offense too.
Yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson's playing shit, but also his team aren't helping him. Like, it's not like Ripon came in there and looked awful. Like, the team just looked bad. And Russell Wilson still sat there like, yeah, we've just got to sort a few things out. Like, that's a leader to me. Like, Tom Brady does the same. Like, Tom Brady, his receivers also have a case of the drops. The way that he looks at his receivers, it doesn't look like they're running the right routes or anything like that either. And, I mean, Tom Brady's also very jittery in the pocket, as Aaron Rodgers is as well, just putting that out there. But they're coming out there and they're saying, oh, yeah, it's something that we've all got to work on together, which we all know what that means. We all know that they acknowledge that they have to do work, but you're not throwing them under the bus like Rodgers did. And I think you look at Rodgers and you think, you've been in the league for however many years now and you still haven't figured out the leadership thing of being a quarterback.
Well, I think that, and I love Russell Wilson on Wisconsin, like Badger quarterback, but I think that we have just found out that 100% true, that Sherman has been correct all this years, and Russell speaks like a leader, but I don't think he's a leader. I don't think his teams respect him. I don't think his teams follow him the way they did. I am convinced that Pete Carroll and the Legion of Boom are why they won those Super Bowls. And I am convinced that he is showing in Denver that everything's a lot me. He makes everything about me. It's 8-hour flight to fucking England. It's about him and doing workouts and on the plane while others are sleeping. One, you're an asshole if you're working out while your teammates are sleeping.
Oh yeah.
And two, where is your Wolverine blood? What do you need to work out for?
I think he's getting punished a lot for being cringy as fuck. Like, and I think Richard Sherman. I don't think all of the people looked at Russell Wilson like Richard Sherman did. I think Richard Sherman looked like that, and the Legion of Boom
defense did.
Because the defense, as you said, the defense has nothing to do. Like, I think his offense respected him. I think he had such a good connection with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and stuff like that. The defense just see this cringy guy, and the defense in Seattle. Let's all be for real. There's some badass guys in there who like. They're assholes. Like, they fuck you up, like put you down and stuff like that, which nothing against that. That's how football is. That's fine. I think they see Russell Wilson's cringy nature. But I think the difference between Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers is I do think Russell Wilson is trying to be a leader. I think he's just everybody else is too cool for Russell Wilson, whereas Aaron Rodgers is actively throwing young guys under the bus.
Golden Tate didn't like him, and I've never heard Jimmy Graham talk bad about anybody but Russell Wilson in my whole life. And I think when they're saying Marshawn Lynch stuck up for him, I think Marshawn Lynch was being sarcastic, but that's just me.
Yeah, when Marshawn Lynch said it was the greatest call of my life that Russell Wilson passed the ball there, because it's not 100. But imagine if I didn't get it in and I'd beast mode and that would have destroyed my entire career. I think he's like, yeah, man, but I'm sure you back yourself to make 2 yards.
And it wasn't like it was fourth down, but okay, whatever,
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trusting beast mode. I'm trusting Ezekiel Elliott. I'm trusting these big, huge backs who have done it. But we digress.
Yeah, I think it's different. I think the Russell Wilson cringiness level of people maybe don't respect him because he's a bit cringe. I do think his offense respected him, apart from Golden Tate. I think Marshawn Lynch is one of those guys who's bigger than life as well. So I'm not really sure.
It wasn't a respect thing. I don't think he's the leader that he was made out to be.
Yeah.
Before he got traded, I think he just says the right shit. He goes about work professionally. But there's some guys people just gravitate to, and he just doesn't seem like he was that guy.
Yeah, I also think the egos on that defensive side of the ball are always going to be like, we were more important, and that's going to tarnish their relationship with Russell Wilson. Like, it's really important to Richard Sherman's career that he was more important than Russell Wilson in winning that Super Bowl, if you know what I mean. Which is fine.
It's weird, too, that Pete Carroll seems like the nicest guys, but a lot of players leave not liking him. It's very weird.
Yeah, Peter Carroll is a cutthroat guy. Like, he is cutthroat. But yeah, so you got a nice little segment on our thoughts on Russell Wilson there. But where I think that's different to the Aaron Rodgers leadership thing is Aaron Rodgers is actively a bad leader, whereas Russell Wilson does everything right, and people just don't like him because of his personality, which is unfortunate. But Aaron Rodgers is a prick.
Leadership's a weird thing because besides Greg Jennings, I think pretty much all of Rodgers' teammates have loved him. Well, Jermichael Finley said some shit, but that was too. But other than that, like, they seem to really like him. But that just because you're liked does not make you a leader. Yeah,
it means he's never had to hold them accountable before. Like, this is the first time he's had to hold his receivers accountable for their drops. And what does he do when he's holding them accountable? He throws them under the fucking bus, and it's loads of young guys. He's always had somebody else. It's always been somebody else to blame it on with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is always, it's Mike McCarthy's fault. So they start losing, and it's Mike McCarthy's fault, which is fair enough. Like, I see that, but it's never him, which is what a leader does.
I agree. Like, you can blame McCarthy, and McCarthy had a lot of blame, but Rodgers had no problem doing it. And now he is absolutely laying it at the feet of LaFleur.
Yeah, laying it at the feet of LaFleur, laying it at the feet of his wide receivers. They did what you wanted. They did what you wanted, and they drafted wide receivers in the first or second round or whatever for the first time in ages, and you haven't been able to coach them up, and you haven't been able to do anything for them. Like, it's a joke.
Well, that does kind of fall at the feet of LaFleur then.
Yeah.
I would argue Rodgers should have showed the fuck up for the offseason workouts.
Yeah, so Rodgers shows the fuck up for the preseason workout, but you know that. So he's throwing them under the bus when they drop the ball, right? That's not going to help anybody. You know, when you're stressing out thinking like, oh, fuck, if I drop this ball, like, it's okay. Like, Tom Brady screaming at his wide receivers on the sideline is a very different, oh, fuck, I'm going to get chewed out by Tom Brady if I drop the ball, compared to, oh, fuck, the entire media is going to be talking about me all week because Aaron Rodgers is going to throw me under the bus. Like, it's a very different pressure level there, because you can imagine Tom Brady coming back into training on Monday and being like, let's go again. Let's do this right again. Let's do this right again. And Rodgers won't do that.
Brady will chew you out on the sideline. And as soon as he gets to the podium, he'll take all the blame on himself.
Yeah. And the next training session, it's over.
And I will say this. So Watson's first game against the Vikings, where he dropped that touchdown, we all know the play I'm talking about, that first play of the Packers. Like, okay, it sucks he dropped it, and I've called him stone hands, and I've picked on the fucking kid, but I'm all in fun. But let's literally think about this. You're playing with Aaron fucking Rodgers. You have not had the whole training camp to play with him. It is your first game in the NFL. You are so wide open, and anybody who ever played football always says and knows wide open catches are the hardest to make because you have time to think. Like, he's wide open. He's thinking about catching his first pass. He sees a touchdown and he drops it. Like, that was all nerves and first time in the NFL. And the first thing Aaron Rodgers should have did was walk over to that kid and go, don't trip. We got it next time.
Yeah, and it happens. Mike Evans dropped that. That was the most wide. So he was open by 10.5 yards. He was 10.5 yards away from the next defender, and he was so wide open. That is the most wide open pass somebody has dropped in the NFL this season.
Yeah, and he changed the game, and it was so early in the game, but I don't think the game turns out the exact same if he catches that and walks into the end zone. I'm not saying who would have won or lost. I'm just saying it's a completely different game. And I will never bag on him for that drop. It sucks. It's like if Justin Jefferson dropped one or Adam Thielen. I've seen too much from you guys in a career to not like shit on you for something that happens in sports. You're never going to be perfect. That's one of the great things about sports is you try to be perfect, but you're never going to reach perfection,
Yeah. I mean, Mike Evans is probably one of the top 10 in the league.
And he's and that attitude, I want that attitude on my team. Now he gets himself in trouble once in a while, but I like that dog in him too. Like, I really like Mike Evans. Yes.
You know that he's pissed off about dropping that fucking catches. Like, tonight when we move on to the game tonight, I can see him. If that offensive line can do anything, I can see him holding up a decent game.
Yeah, we'll get to that. That's why I haven't brought up the Bucs last game yet.
But you sit there and you look at Aaron Rodgers and you think, come on, man. Like, you think you're all that, but you're not playing like all that. Like, let's remember this. Patrick Mahomes already has more Super Bowl appearances than Aaron Rodgers. Joe Burrow has exactly the same amount of Super Bowl appearances as Aaron Rodgers. Who else is there? Jimmy Garoppolo has the same amount of appearances as Aaron Rodgers. Jared Goff has exactly the same amount of Super Bowl appearances as Aaron Rodgers. Like, man, you may be one of the most talented guys to ever do it, but I'm starting to look at the way that you treat your teammates and think, holy shit, like, we were blaming your coaches and we were blaming your situation, but you don't exactly help yourself, do you?
I think we've always agreed, and I don't mean this as a general person, like out in society. We've always agreed that Aaron Rodgers is an asshole. I think we've always agreed that, right? Like, when it comes to teammates, sports, like the media. But we've always said you can be as big of a problem or an asshole as your talent allows you. The second your talent and assholeisms, I made up a word, line up, you're gone. You're gone. If your talent isn't up here, you know what I mean? And I really think at the beginning of the year, I said I thought Rodgers plays 2 years. I don't know if it's for Green Bay, but I think he plays 2 years. I think he might be done after this year, and not because he can't play, because I think he's so fucking frustrated too.
Yeah, I just don't see him going out like this. Like, I don't see him. I mean, he might be one of those guys who's just like, I didn't give a fuck about my legacy. Fuck this, I'm leaving.
Well, he's got the same legacy no matter what, because his legacy is, I got one Super Bowl, but I've thrown the least interceptions. I got the best this stat. I got the best that stat. I have told you since the day we have met, Aaron Rodgers throws the ball out of bounds because he's afraid of throwing interceptions.
Yeah, and he looks jittery in the pocket as well. Like, behind this offensive line, let's give them a break. They're not throwing downfield because, one, they fucking don't throw downfield because Aaron Rodgers can't bear to throw an interception. But two, they don't have enough time to throw downfield because this offensive line is shit. So I get that. But also, if you stand in the pocket, like you look at some guys, you look at Tua this week. Tua is dying for his team. Like, he's taking runs after taking those 2 concussions, which I personally think is fucking stupid. But sometimes, Aaron, you've got to take that hit. You've got to stand in there, make that throw, and take that hit, and he won't do it.
No, and you look around, I can go around the league, but let's take both Dak and Cousins. They'll both stand in there and take a hit.
Oh, yeah.
And neither of them are Aaron Rodgers' talent, right? Like, this guy is so fucking talented that he is one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen play. So as we shit on him right now, let's remember he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. That kind of thing. But I definitely agree with you. He doesn't want to take the hit. He doesn't want to throw the interception. He doesn't want the sacks on his record. Like, he's really record driven right now because I think he realizes that's the only way he's going to be talked up there anymore, because there's a lot of dudes who have had 1 ring, like Nick Foles. Why am I spacing on the Vikings old quarterback who won one with the Buccaneers? Brad Johnson, sorry. Or not the Buccaneers, or the Buccaneers, and then Trent Dilfer with the Ravens. And there's a lot of guys who have won 1 ring. I remember Michael Jordan once. There's a story that Ray Allen tells. He's sitting there talking to Mike because Mike said, "Come back to me when you're a champ." They were joking around, right? And he's like, "Mike, I'm a champ." He goes, "Don't talk to me till you have 2. He goes, "It's easy to get 1. Anybody can get 1. Don't talk to me till you have 2. It's that kind of thing.
It's going like Aaron Rodgers has the same amount of rings as Joe Flacco. You know what I mean?
Trent Dilfer.
Like, it's just, it just kind of, it sours the taste of Aaron Rodgers for me. And this season, where he's not had an elite wide receiver and things aren't going their way, and the way he's dealt with it, make me think that if you were a better leader, would you have had more? But I imagine he's an amazing teammate to have, but is he the guy that you want standing on the podium being your spokesperson for your entire franchise? And I would say no.
And the older he gets, the less he gives a fuck about what he says.
Yeah, and I think it's Colin Cowherd, right, spouts shit, but some of his spouting shit like really lands on something that makes me think, and then I go off his point and make it my own point. But he says things like, everybody in that locker room now is Gen Z, and Aaron Rodgers is, and it's totally different humor, totally different. And it's like, yeah, man, like, that is difficult. Like, my job is working with people who are like 6-7 years younger than me. And that's still a big gap. Aaron Rodgers is dealing with people who weren't even born when he started playing like collegiate football and stuff like that.
So this is 2 things, well, 3 things. One, as much as Cowherd can irritate the shit out of me, at least I believe he believes what the fuck he said.
Yeah, 100%.
So that I can respect. I don't have to agree with you. I can think you're stupid, but as long as you believe it, because there's too many people who say, Florio drives me nuts, but he believes what he says, right? Yeah. Like, when it comes to legal shit, Florio's the first one I'm turning to, because he was a lawyer. Now, Tom Brady, some years ago, went and hired a young person to teach him how to interact with, and he still has people he pays to teach him how to interact with his younger teammates. And people can think that's crazy, but I think it's fucking brilliant. Yeah, and this is why the NFL is going to younger coaches. So I'll use the Vikings as a great example. Mike Zimmer was not hitting anymore. First 4 years, the team was cool. We're with Mike Zimmer. Then they wore on them motherfuckers, and they went and got a young guy who can understand younger players better than the older coaches. And you see that these younger coaches are doing pretty well in the NFL across the board, because you can look at Cincinnati, you can look at Shanahan's still young, McVay, all these dudes, and I know they're great coaches, but it's because they can relate with their team. I'm 44. I use my daughter and her boyfriend to understand your generation. I'm always like, tell me this, tell me that. Like, I'll never forget, my daughter was 16, maybe 15, and I made a comment about Netflix and chill, and she goes, "Do you know what that means?" And I'm like, "We're gonna watch Netflix and hang out." She's like, "No." And then
No, I don't want to
like,
Netflix and chill with you.
I am old as shit because that never even. It's just the times are so different that I think it's great when people like Brady try to stay connected with their younger teammates. And I think you're right. I think Aaron Rodgers is very disconnected from the vibe of that locker room.
Yeah, and I think it's like, and you'll have a lot of people saying like, "Oh, well, this wasn't a problem this many years ago." Guys, the speed of technological change, like I feel in a different generation to my brothers because I grew up with a flip phone and they grew up with full-on touch iPhones because we're 4 years separated. So
I grew up with a landline. If we weren't home, you couldn't get a hold of us.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, but like technological advancements happened so quickly in the 2000s that the generation that was born before 2000 and then generations before that. So Tom Brady's around your generation. Then you have the people born just before 2000, then the people in 2000, and now the people in like after
Rodgers
that.
is only. I mean, if you think about this, Rodgers is only 5 years younger than me.
Yeah, and like so. Yeah,
he grew up with landlines.
Yeah, and exactly, and some of these kids, and you watch Juju Smith-Schuster TikToking and people doing the gritty in the end zone and stuff like that. And it don't get me wrong, Juju TikToking
Juju pissed me off at first with that. Yeah. But then I realized after about a year of watching, and reevaluating what I was seeing in the world, not just Juju, I'm like, no, I was the old get off my lawn guy. The only problem I still had with Juju was going live in the locker room. Other than that, I was wrong for attacking him for his TikTok video.
It's like doing that. It's like doing that is the same as investing in a company. Like that's how much money that Juju Smith-Schuster will make off those TikToks. Like instead of investing though, it's a much safer bet to just make some content of you doing the gritty in the middle of the field or whatever. So yeah, I think that's a big problem for Rodgers as well. That's not a big problem for Brady, however, although Brady's style of play, especially last week, has been under fire. What do you think about the Bucs losing to the Panthers?
I was shocked, but it's like that's the NFL. That's what happens when a team is against the wall. They shouldn't win a game and they have nothing to lose. And they just go out there and play free and they end up beating a team that 9 out of 10 times they don't.
Yeah, I remember when we were filming for our previews of last season. I remember sitting there and thinking, hang on, I think we might have given the Bucs too much credit over the Panthers. I think we might have accidentally said that the Bucs were going to win this at a canter when actually the Panthers, I remember saying the Panthers defensive line may cause some problems, but it shouldn't be too big of an issue. But then it was watching how jittery Tom Brady was getting in the pocket where I was thinking, oh shit, like we should have probably dove into that a bit more. So this Panthers defense is actually decent. Like if you look at the Panthers defense, it's actually okay. I can't remember the name of the coach. He's an interim coach now, isn't he?
And he was a head coach. I forget his name.
He was head coach of the Cardinals before Kingsbury got there. Wicks or something.
Yeah, he got like 1 year.
He got the 1 year with Josh Rosen when they were just fucked. Yeah, and he hasn't had a chance to coach in the NFL. I would give him the job after watching this. I'm not going to lie. So that defense is coming out to play. It looks half decent. They look like they're playing some decent football. I mean, their offense is terrible. Like, PJ Walker shouldn't be beating you 21-3. Like, that's ridiculous. The Bucs defense has fallen off in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, there's something going on in there, and it's not just the offense. It's not just Brady's divorce or whatever. Like, there's way more to it. The Panthers have a better D than people give them credit for. And the reason they don't get the credit for it is because the numbers against them don't look great. But, of course, the numbers against you aren't going to look great when most up until last week, your team couldn't even get a first down.
Yeah, like you're spending so much time on the field that you're going to be tired. And it wasn't like It wasn't like they haven't been throwing pick sixes and shit like that. Like a decent amount of the points scored against them have been on the offensive side of the ball. Just putting that out there. But the pick six that they had, that was an interesting stat. Sorry, just to go back to this. The pick six that the Commanders got against the Packers added up to more receiving yards than Rodgers threw in the first half. Sorry, that was just something that I had to put out there. Yeah, Brady didn't look good. Mike Evans drops that one catch. I don't think that's why they lose the game, but it doesn't set the right tone.
It changes the game, right?
Yeah,
now you're up, so the game's played completely different. That's all I was saying. I said,
100%. And I still think they move away from the run so quickly. People are saying that they can't run the ball, but Leonard Fournette gets points. Like, Leonard Fournette is a beast. Like, Leonard Fournette is one of those guys that's going to tire you out the more you run against him. So I'm not a big monster. I'm not a big you need to run the ball guy, but especially with the pack, imagine if you're able to play off play action with Tom Brady, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin, and you're not just dropping back and throwing straight away. I think the head coach there and the offensive coordinators in Tampa really need to look at themselves and think, we need to reevaluate how we're going to play this game.
I don't disagree with that. And we're going to talk a couple quarterbacks and we're going to talk about tonight's game. But before we do, it's always Maddie's favorite part. It's a word from OTH and our boy Freezes.
What's good? It's your homie, Freezes Christ. Y'all know the deal. Make sure y'all head on over to overtimehustling.com where you can catch all the latest merch, all the newest mags, all the media, everything, know what I mean? And you can also find me on Winging It with the homies Keith G, King Dale, and Payne Gusto. And you can catch me on Turf Tales with the homie SK. And if you got nothing to do on Sundays, even if you do got something to do, make sure you tap into Overtime Reactions hosted by the homie Cuzzo. And I cannot forget the homie Jay over there at the Yankee and the Brit channel. So make sure y'all go over there and check them out. And hey, check me out, your boy Freezes, on that Real Talk with Jay. It was a hell of an interview, yo. Gotta do it again. I keep saying it because I mean it. We gotta do it again. I had a great motherfucking time. But anyway, you know who it is. Freezes H, OTH, Yankee and the Brit, Winging It, Turf Tales, Overtime Reactions, Chronicles Podcast. You know the drill, Cush's Corner. It's a motherfucking movement. So move with it. Or move out the motherfucking way. Simple and plain.
Overtime hustling, we hustling overtime.
So, Maddie, as we move on, you want to talk some top 10 power rankings quick?
Yeah, sure. And my power rankings have changed in the past. Well, when we started the show 40 minutes ago. They changed during the 15 minutes leading up to the show. So the big talking point for me is I've moved the Bengals down from around 5th or 6th down to 10th with the loss of Jamar Chase. So my top 10 power rankings go the Buffalo Bills in at 1, the Kansas City Chiefs in number 2, the Eagles at 3, and then I'm not very comfortable with this, but I think with injuries to other teams and the way that they've played and the way that they're looking on the defense, I've got the Cowboys at 4. Not the most comfortable about that, but we can get into that in a second. The Vikings at 5. I've got the Giants at 6. The Miami Dolphins are at 7. The giveaway 10 points every time, go up by 10 points every time we play, but try and give it away the best that we can. Baltimore Ravens are in at 8. The Tennessee Titans have been sneakily decent season, and I think them being in the AFC South is really helping them be at 9, and then the Cincinnati Bengals in at 10.
Okay, and I swear to you guys, Maddie and I do not talk about these since they're not exact, but we're real close. So I'm running down at number 1, I got the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I think everybody in the country has the Buffalo Bills.
Number 2, I got the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I can see
Number
that.
3, I got the Kansas City Chiefs. Number
Top
4,
3 person.
I'm like you. I'm not comfortable, but I have the Minnesota Vikings. At 5, I have your Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
At 6, I have the New York Giants.
Yeah.
At 7, I have the Cincinnati Bengals down from 5.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you get discounted a little bit, but I gotta see before I really shit on you. At 8, I got the Baltimore Ravens. At 9, I have the Tennessee Titans. And at 10, probably for the first time since Eric Mangini was their coach, or Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan was their coach. I have the New York Jets at number 10 on my power rank.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to say the Jets because they were an honorable mention for me. I go all the way down. When I do it, I go all the way down to about 15. But then the guys and then I can sort them out better in my head from there. And I've currently got the Jets sitting at about 13th. I just don't know.
I do the same thing you do. I go down to 15.
Yeah.
And then start playing around with
fix it from there. Because those teams between like 15 and 25
can
all flip around. Like
at 11, I have a slash. It's 11 and 12, and it's the Chargers 49ers.
Right, okay. I have the Seahawks in it.
Okay. I'm not really mad at that because they're all playing. Gino's looking pretty. I'm not. Hey, everybody's gonna go. You think Geno Smith is great? No, Gino's looking pretty good. He's Geno fucking Smith, and he's doing way better than any of us thought Gino would do. So
yeah, I think the Jets are definitely an honorable mention for me. I just don't know what their offense is going to look like without Breece Hall now. Like they lose the big playability. We were messaging about it when I was on a train back from Wales, like in the middle of the fucking night, and I had no Wi-Fi or anything. But we were messaging about it, and I was like, do you know what? Like I just don't see any big playability from the Jets right now because I can't trust Zach Wilson to lead an offense. I can trust him off play action off the top of Breece Hall and stuff like that, but I can't trust him running that offense, and that then kind of nullifies Garrett Wilson. And I don't see the big playability from Michael Carter and James Robinson. I do like the pickup of James Robinson.
I said to you, I think they have a really great run game. I think Breece Hall is a different type of running back, but I think they'll still be all right with that running game. There was 2 games this year that Michael Carter got me big points in fantasy.
Yeah, no, Michael Carter is a really, really good running back. And I really, really like Michael Carter, and I like what he's doing. It's just that Jets offense only scores on big plays. Like it only scores on massive fucking plays. So I need to see that. I need to see that before I bring them back into the fold. But they're above the Titans with no injuries. The Bengals and the Jets are above the Titans for me. They're above the Ravens for me as well. There are a couple of teams that I'm not particularly comfortable with, and the Ravens are one of them because they're so difficult to assess because they're 4-3 and they get up by double digits. It feels like every single game, and then they try and throw it away. Like if the Browns, if Jacoby Brissett didn't play his worst game in a Browns jersey, they probably are 3-4, not 4-3, and have given away another double-digit lead.
This is off subject, but before I forget, I got to bring this up. The fucking Jags, 2 inches away from making me look like a fucking genius. 2 inches away from making me look like a fucking genius.
That was so bad. Yeah, the other team is the Giants that I'm not comfortable with, by the way.
Me either.
Yeah.
I feel like their coach is winning them the game more than their players.
Yeah. So what do you think about the Ravens? Where do you think they are in this whole thing? Because they're such a difficult team to assess.
I have faith in Harbaugh. I have faith in Lamar, and I have faith in Andrews. And I think their defense is just going to keep getting better, which their defense doesn't have to be a top 1 or 2 to win. They're definitely going to make the playoffs. They're definitely going to be somebody who nobody wants to see in the playoffs. But I don't think they'll make the Super Bowl because I think it's going to be Kansas City or Buffalo. But,
I think when you're playing in the AFC, then you've got to go through KC and you've got to go through.
You hope you don't have to go through both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I find it difficult to have a team that gives away that many wins going anywhere in the playoffs. So it's easy to that habit of winning games when you're playing shit and that habit, but they're making games too close when they're playing really, really well. And if you do that in the playoffs, you'll lose. if they don't have Justin Tucker, then they're probably if they don't have Justin Tucker and Jacoby Brissett doesn't play his worst game in the league, they've blown another 2 double-digit leads, and they're down. What would that make them? Like 2-5, which they do. That both of those things happen. So they're 4-3, and they're very deservedly 4-3. And the reason they're in the top 10 is they are getting double-digit leads. I'd rather have my team getting double-digit leads and blowing them than never getting anywhere near a double-digit lead. So, yeah, I mean, as frustrating as that would be. And the New York Giants, I don't think the New York Giants have the talent to be 5-2, 5-1.
I just watched Daniel Jones trip over the 40-yard line again.
This time he does get touched.
Okay, a little. He tripped over the fucking yard line. Right?
so this time,
a monster. Saquon Barkley is what he's finally healthy and he's playing like Saquon Barkley we were thinking we were going to see in the NFL.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't dislike Daniel Jones. Like with Daniel, so there are a couple of quarterbacks that me and Jay just don't agree on whatsoever, and we're going to talk about one in a second.
I think we do look at it differently though, because I look at how would I feel if they were on my team, and I'd be pissed off.
Yeah, I kind of look at it as like, how would I feel if I'm playing against them? And I feel like Daniel Jones runs that offense quite well. Where's the offensive talent for him to really throw the ball to? But he still makes yards. He still gets wins. He still gets he's. I think Daniel Jones is a good leader and he's a smart guy. And I then look at what are their other options at quarterback, and they're too late now. Like last year or the year before was the year to make your play for a quarterback and move off Daniel Jones, but they're too late now because they're too good.
The Vikings and the Giants are both coming into a stretch of games now where they're going to play some real fucking good teams.
Yeah. And
this will tell a lot because the Giants' best win was the Packers, and now we're looking at the Packers completely different.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's fucking weird. I'd still rather have Daniel Jones than the guy you think is the greatest quarterback in NFL history, which is Justin Fields.
I don't think he's the greatest quarterback. I just think anybody who puts 33 points up on Bill Belichick might be worth another look. But yeah, with Daniel Jones, it's difficult he's a difficult assessment again. That team has been shit until this year. That team has been awful since he got there. But Saquon Barkley's a monster. Great. And their O-line looks half decent. But the only team that they've played that are in my top 10 are the Cowboys, and they lost. Oh no, they beat the Titans, didn't they? In the first game of the season, they beat the Titans. Okay, but the Titans, if it wasn't for injuries, the first game, and if it wasn't for injuries, the Titans wouldn't be in my top 10.
Right.
So I'm not confident in the Giants at all. Like, I don't think they have the quality. And Colin Cowherd did my fucking head in, right? Because Colin Cowherd, when he put the Giants above the Cowboys for the reason that if they played today, he thinks that the Giants would beat the Cowboys. It's like, we only played each other 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we walked them. Like, if with the backup quarterback, we walked him. It shouldn't have even been fucking close. And we destroyed him. And that got me riled up a little bit.
Well, the question is, would you have beat him with Dak?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you asked me something about Justin Fields, and you said, but he's coming off of this game that he just played really good.
Yeah.
And my argument is it's the best game of his career, and it was still average.
Yeah, definitely. But I think last year he sparks that kind of special. Do you know what it is about Justin Fields, right? And it's what irritates me about this argument, because everything you say is 100% right. So everything you say is correct, and it happens on this show all the time when we disagree, right? Everything you say, I'm like, yep, that's right. Yep, that makes sense. But with Justin Fields, what happens is I'll then go actively. Justin Fields, I probably watch more film on him than anybody else, so that I can. So I'm kind of trying to put myself off Justin Fields because I'm sick of getting messages from you being like, "Do you still love Justin Fields? Yeah. do, you, do you still love Justin Fields? He's so like I'm so right. Like, but he just does that every now and again. He just does something special, and you're like, "Fuck you, man." Like I was just falling out of love with you, and then you've just done that. In the game against the 49ers, in the pissing rain, he's on one side of the pitch, throws entirely across his body in the laser to score a touchdown. Like, and then he's not just smashing the ball up on QB sneaks. He's getting them first downs on 3rd and 10 against Bill Belichick. His physical attributes and stuff like that. But you are right, and I know exactly what you're going to say. He can't throw the ball. Is the next thing that you're about to say. But
actually, yeah. I was just going to leave it alone, but I was thinking it.
Yeah, exactly. But I was looking at that game and I was thinking, the Bears scheme nothing underneath. The Bears have no easy throws. There is not a single easy throw available to Justin Fields. But then when they do give him the easy throw, he has no touch when he throws it and fucks it up. So, well, it's difficult. Justin Fields is a difficult evaluation for me.
I was going to pile on another quarterback today, but if you're okay with it, I was thinking I want to pause one more week and give him a chance before I pile on him even some more.
No.
Because, I want to watch him with one more game because it's really easy to smash him a Dak after his last game. I could pick out a million things, but he just came back off an injury. So let's give us one more week before I pile on Dak again.
Oh, my God. Thank you. Well, I was like, all I was going to say, my entire argument for you piling on Dak, which, by the way, guys, like, we talk to each other about football every fucking day. And I feel like every day since that Lions game, I've got a message from Jay that I've gone, for fuck's sake, man. Like, and it's so right. He was shit. Like, he was bad. Like that's fine.
Yeah, I just don't know why I want this Cooper Rush argument to hit the internet so bad. That's what I want.
I think you just love living off chaos. Like that.
I do like it. As long as it's not my chaos. Yes, I love chaos. That's not mine.
That's what it must be. It like that has to be it. But I think I look at the whole Dak thing and I'm like, do you know what, man? Like it feels like you've been injured for like the past 3 seasons. And if you're not like being available is a quality. I would like to just put that out there. But the 2 injuries have been freak accidents, so I'm not going to.
Right, but there is an old saying that the best ability is availability.
Yeah, 100%, which is the problem with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's why Shanahan doesn't like him.
Yeah, 100%. So, Dak Prescott, I feel like he needs at least one more game.
Yeah, I thought that too to myself.
Yeah, he needs at least one more game to evaluate him. The issue is, that the Bears are playing much better football now than they were at the start of the season in defense. That's who they've got this week. But I'm not going to make excuses if we don't beat the Bears. I'm not going to make excuses.
The only way you lose to the Bears is that slippery fuck Justin Fields gets out the pocket on passing plays and runs. That's it. It's the only way you lose.
Yeah, and I mean when you've got Micah Parsons in the defensive line that we've got, then I feel like we're able to deal with it. But
I agree, and
we'll see.
And I got to ask you before we move on to tonight's game, and I'm not saying it would change the outcome. I'm not saying that it's anybody's fault. I don't want this to sound like Cowboy slander. This is NFL review slander. That was not a pick by Diggs.
It's a pick when it's called on the field a pick.
They didn't even review it, though.
Yeah, which is...
I thought all turnovers were supposed to be reviewed.
Which is madness. I imagine what's happened is they have looked at it in New York, but then they said they let it snap so quickly. Once again, this is an issue.
And the only reason I know it's not is because I watched them fucking slow it down to the minute. I
don't think. I think if they overturned it, I think if they reviewed it, they still wouldn't have overturned it because it has to be clear and obvious, and I don't think it is clear and obvious if you have to reduce it down to that level.
They do that, though, in replay. They slow it down to the last possible frame. So I think they would have overturned it. But I don't care about the interception. Again, this is what the fuck is the NFL doing? It's the rule. You review every play. And I don't care what anybody feels if it was incomplete or if it was interception. that was close enough for the fucking
100%.
refs to go into their little, and I'm not all for them in their little stupid box, but if they're going to do it, that was one of the plays they should have done it.
Yeah, and I think something that I think that kind of procedure and that kind of stuff is based on, we've been harping on this. I've been harping on this since we started this podcast, but the NFL referees need to be full-time. And that's one of those things that you can get them all in a meeting at the start of the week. And I know they probably do meetings, but it's at the end of the day when they're already working their other jobs and shit. And I know they were talking about, like, the referee who did the primetime game, he's like an orthodontist or something like that. And it's like, why the fuck is that guy not in, like, during the off season? Are they not getting trained? Like, I imagine they do training, but at the end of your workday and stuff, you can't be fully committed. I just think if you make it full time, those procedures get ironed out a lot easier. It's not like they're not good for the money.
And if they're full time, you can actually put some real punishment being a shit ref, right? Like,
exactly.
I mean, and you know me, this was not a shot at Diggs. I think Trayvon Diggs is an amazing corner. I told you this last year. Within 4 to 5 years, if not sooner, he will be the best corner in the NFL unless some stud comes out of college who's just crazy,
Yeah, well, I mean, Sauce Gardner looks pretty insane.
So I don't remember who said it, but once they said it, I can't unsee it. Oh, Darius Butler, corner, safety, nickel, played some of the best coaches.
When he speaks about the secondary, you listen.
So he was saying that what makes Trayvon so good is that as soon as he sees the quarterback and what he's doing, he stops being a cornerback and he runs the route the receiver is going to run because so that's why he gets caught sometimes on those sluggos, those, stop and goes.
Yeah.
But that's why he gets the pick. In his head, he says, he's throwing to my guy. The only route my guy can run is a slant. He stops being a corner and he starts being a receiver and runs the route.
Yeah, and he undercuts it as well. So what happens with that Cooper Kupp play that they break off for a massive touchdown is he's undercutting it because he knows that's the way he's going to get the turnover. He doesn't give a shit about. I imagine he does give a shit about coverage and doesn't give a shit and he's a really good tackler. He's a really good open field tackler, Trayvon Diggs as well. He really does give a shit about all things, but getting a pick is what makes that guy tick. Like, you can see when he picks something off, like, he goes mental.
You guys do this sometimes too, but this is what I would do all the time. I just leave us not double team, but I'd leave a zone safety behind 100%. Him. So if he gets burnt, we don't give up a touchdown because I want this dude to keep picking he has 17 picks in 35 games. Think about that. That's almost one every other fucking game. It's insanity.
Yeah, and they were mainly in his second year. Like, I love Trayvon Diggs. I think Trayvon Diggs is a great cornerback. I think he's a solid Dallas Cowboy as well. Yeah. So those guys that don't let the media if you're a Dallas Cowboy, you need to have that certain showmanship level, which he has, but you also need to not let the media make you crack. And he's got all of those things. So I think he's great.
And I just wanted to make sure because Cowboy fans get a little sensitive sometimes when they think you're shooting at their guy. I wasn't shooting at Diggs. I was shooting at the refs.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And I think that with the referee situation, I think if you make that full, if you make them full time, then you can get those procedures out of the way.
Yeah, and I get why Lions fans are pissed off. Just replay that, and then there's no argument. You know what I mean? We have too many times where refs get it wrong where they could have got it right, and that's my big problem. Like, if you could have got it, and I don't expect human beings to be perfect, but when there's a system in place to help you be better, use it, especially when it's the rule. That just drove me insane. That whole thing drove me insane. So on to tonight's game, Maddie.
Yeah, I mean, 1 second, just while you talk about tonight's game, I've just got somebody that's just come and knocked on my door, so I'm going to go quickly see what they want, and I'll be back.
He's got some like DoorDash or something.
I'll be back in 2 seconds. I'm really sorry, everyone. I'm sorry.
All right, so what I'm going to tell you is for tonight's game, I went back and forth. I really did. And the Ravens, in my head, Ravens should win this game. The Bucks are on a slide. They're not playing the greatest. Tom Brady's got a lot of off-field shit going on, but there's a lot of talent on that Tampa team, and I have a hard time betting against Brady. I do. It's like I have a hard time like going, oh, Tom Brady's washed or Tom Brady's this. And I know a lot of people want to hate on Brady because for some reason people hate greatness. I'm not one of them. I think it's been amazing over my lifetime to watch Tom Brady play. I think Mike Evans is a monster. They got Godwin. They got a ton of guys on that offense. Like Maddie and I were just talking about why you're not feeding Fournette the ball more. I don't know. I know they use him a lot like they used White when they were in New England, but you can't do play action off of screen passes. You can't do play action off of fucking hot routes. And yes, it's an extension of your running game, but like Maddie pointed out earlier, if you would just run the ball. And for play action to work, you don't always have to be successful running the ball. You just have to be committed to running the ball. So like they need to run the ball 30 plus times, let Tom Brady work off the play action, make sure your defense holds you in the game and don't get down by 14 points or 21 points where you got to start throwing it all over. Todd Bowles needs to figure out what's going on in that defense because that defense is what actually carried them to that Super Bowl. Don't get me wrong. Tom Brady balled out. AB scored a touchdown. Gronk scored a touchdown. Fournette scored a touchdown. All the Brady followers who came to Tampa Bay scored a touchdown in that Super Bowl, and they were big. But that defense is what has carried them for a long time. And personally, after I said all of that praising Tom Brady, I'm picking the Ravens to win this game.
That's how I feel about it as well. God. Sorry, I live in a block of apartments, so to go to my front door, I have to go run to the front door. But yeah. Give me 1 second.
Oh, no worries. I was just I went off on all the reasons why my heart tells me Tampa should win, but my head tells me it's the Ravens, so I'm going with the Ravens.
Yeah, so on PFF, what they've started doing with this season is if you think one thing, then the other thing's going to happen with the way that this season goes.
Well, according to that, then Brady wins.
Yeah, so I think I just look at it and I look at the Buccaneers offensive line. So I look at the way that this Buccaneers offensive line is operating and the way that the Ravens offensive line is going. I just think I look at that and just go, there's no fucking way that Tom Brady can make enough yards to beat this Ravens team. And I think the Ravens team are, as we've said, they are getting up by 10 points every single time. And I think they're not going to give that away because the Buccaneers can't get moving. They can't move the ball. So I genuinely think the Ravens are going to win this game.
Yeah, I got the Ravens also. Maddie's he did the DoorDash, so he's still trying to catch his breath.
I'm absolutely dying, and I don't want to. Anybody who's listening to this as a podcast and it's got their headphones in, I don't want to be like.
Like Darth Vader.
Yeah. This is the issue with traveling around on trains all the time. Is like you don't do any fucking walking, like or like running anywhere. But yeah, when you look at this game, I think it's going to be another game won in the trenches. I think that's the way that the Ravens like it. I do question this Ravens secondary though. So if the Buccaneers offense does finally get it going, if they run the fucking ball and get some play action, then you can see that this game might go away from them. Because I don't trust this Ravens secondary at all. Like I weirdly don't trust it. And also, there's been a lot said about Lamar Jackson. This is something that we haven't really spoken about, but with Lamar Jackson's contract coming up, and I don't really think it's too much, but it's got to be affecting him somewhere. And
I said that on that one. So the one episode I did where you couldn't make it, I had said that Lamar subconsciously, I think, is like, so there was this play that week, I forget who they played, But so Lamar's running up the sideline, the guy's coming, and Lamar runs out of bounds. Smart move, right? Picks up 18 yards or whatever. I think if Lamar has a $250 million guaranteed contract, he cuts in and picks up another 30, maybe even a touchdown.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you look at it and you do wonder the psychology of players. Like, there's no way that we would know that. There's no way that we would know how that works in your head, because it's not a question that we've ever had to deal with. And you think players just play off adrenaline, and I don't know how much, if he's like, the guy's coming to him, he thinks that in his mind, I've got to, shit, this guy's coming, I better step out of bounds. But I think it's like, yeah, right back in there, you think, yeah, maybe somewhere it's like, why am I gutting this out? Like, why am I gutting this out?
Then I got $200 to $300 million coming.
Yeah, like in the bank, yeah, and any team that I want to go to soon as well. But the Ravens have got 2 franchise tags on him, so I doubt he's going to walk that easily. But
no,
if your quarterback doesn't want to be there, then you're fucked.
I think if they don't get a deal done in this offseason, I think he's stubborn enough to ride out 2 franchise tags and walk.
Yeah, definitely, and that's the best money-making move as well.
Hey, I like that these players. Okay, so back in the day, these players had to take what was thrown at them, because it was Brett Favre was making $12 million a year at the end of his career. Okay, let's think of that. $12 million. You just take that and link. These guys now are making $40 a year, so they're like, I got a fuck ton of money, but I know what I'm worth. So now I'm going to make what I'm worth, and I'm not going to let the team lowball me just because of this security. I don't need the security. I'm secure as shit. Like, if you're Kirk Cousins, if you're Dak Prescott, if you're Patrick Mahomes, not that these guys are in this situation, you have so much fucking money that you can hold out, or you can do whatever you want because you're already financially secure. Where in the 90s, if you were a guy making $800,000 a year and the team comes to you and goes, we're going to give you $4 million, you're like, well, fuck yes, I'm taking $4 million. It's life changing.
Yeah, and there's massive money-making opportunities outside of the sport as well. So, like, you don't, if you want to sit, then you can sit, get that ad revenue coming in. You can fucking start a podcast if you want to, which is what a lot of people have started. Tom Brady's got a podcast. Like, the Kelsey Brothers. How good is the Kelsey Brothers podcast, by the way?
Yes.
Top tier NFL podcast. Must watch. Or you can do what Chris Sims did. Chris Sims, unfortunately, fucks up his spleen. All of a sudden becomes one of the best analyzers, in my opinion, on any of the networks. You know, I can't see Lamar Jackson doing that job. No offense to Lamar Jackson or people wherever he's from, but I personally find him quite difficult to understand when he's speaking. But I'm sure you can.
It's easier for us because he's just got that Southern accent that we're used to. You're not used to that Southern accent.
Yeah, but that is like next level. But there's all those options out there for him to use as well. If he decides to just sit for a little bit.
As a fan, I hate it. Right, that they're taking more of the power. But as like a business person, because you are your own business when you're in the NFL, right? Like I love to watch the players taking control of their situation. I don't want to see what we saw from the 90s players, the 80s players, where a lot of them end up broke at the end of their lives and struggling. Like, I don't like, and people are going, they get paid too much money. Sure, you can argue that, but if my boss is making billions of dollars a year and it's because of me, he better be paying me tens of millions of dollars a year for doing it.
Yeah, it's not the same. We have this argument over here about football, like European football players all the time. So nurses in the NHS, which is the best thing about the UK, the NHS.
That's universal healthcare, guys.
Yeah, our universal healthcare system. Yeah, they get paid around like between like 30 to 40 grand a year, depending on which band you are in. Our military, which I'm not a massive fan of the military or anything, but like they put their lives on the line, they get a very similar wage and stuff like that. And then Cristiano Ronaldo is making $600K a week. It's like, yeah, but Cristiano Ronaldo brings in $1 million a week. I
get the same argument here. Yeah. Teachers should be paid more. Military should be paid more. Those men with helmet are more important than those guys. You're right, and I'm not arguing that, but it's the difference between private sector money and public money. And there's
pay more taxes. If you want that, that's fine. Just tax. Like, you have to tax
they
more
don't
people.
want to hear that though either, though, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody wants to hear that either. So
yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, that's fine. We can do that. We can pay soldiers $100K. We need you to get taxed an extra 2%, but swings and roundabouts, isn't it? So so yeah, I don't know whether I feel like Lamar Jackson's a bit of a laissez-faire kind of guy. I genuinely don't think that it's gonna impact his play too much. I don't think that's where it is. I think the injuries have fucked the Ravens over. They're another organization that needs to look at their medical practice situation, and you feel like it could be because they train too hard in training with John Harbaugh.
Yeah, J.K. Dobbins is fucking killing me. He's fucking killing me in fantasy.
Yeah. So you sit there and you think injuries, and you sit there and you think that I haven't really watched a lot of the Ravens, but their offensive line play is questionable. Like, their secondary is questionable, and what weapons? Like Mark Andrews. When your tight end is your best weapon, you are limited offensively. When your tight end is your only weapon, you're limited offensively, actually.
I like Mark Andrews. I think he's more of a receiver than a tight end. So it's like, however you want to put that. They run tight end sets and shit like that too. And y'all, don't be sleeping on D-Jack. D-Jack's going to make an impact for that team this year. Just his speed and his intelligence alone is going to help that team.
Yeah, definitely.
I know he's old. I know they just added him to the roster a couple weeks ago, but like, Jackson can still play. Let's not pretend like this dude still isn't fast as hell.
Yeah, it's another weapon. It's another weapon. That'll help. Opens up down the field.
On a vet minimum. I mean, if the guy gets you 4 touchdowns this year, he was worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, he opens something up. You have to run with him. Like, there's got to be someone to run with him. Even if he's not going to get the ball, if somebody runs with him, you're not going to leave him open down the field.
Right.
So it takes one more person away from Andrews or Rashad Bateman or out of the box.
I like Bateman.
Yeah, I really like Bateman, by the way, and we liked him coming out of the draft. Just putting that out there for everybody. Our draft picks sometimes look okay, considering I watch no college football because I can't. It's really difficult to watch.
Yeah, I haven't. I watch college football, but it's been rough on me this year because the Badgers just look fucking awful. And once
I do check everybody's.
And college football is the worst too, because one loss, you're pretty much out of the national championship conversation.
Yeah, definitely. I do like. Do you know? Actually, I was giving Chris Sims a lot of love just then. Joe Klatt might be also one of my favorite analysts.
I love Joe Klatt. Love Joe.
Yeah, one of my favorite analysts. Also, if you make referees full time, you can train referees in the college leagues, or you can punish referees who play bad games by putting them in the college games rather than the NFL ones. Yeah. I know they don't work. I know they don't run together, but that's just what you could do.
This is a different conversation, just throwing this out there quick because it's a different sport. A commissioner I absolutely love in Silver for the NBA said the dumbest fucking thing ever about if you tank, we should regulate you to the G League.
Relegate you. Yeah. Fucking do it.
Dude, do it. Nobody wants to watch the fucking Oshkosh Herd play NBA basketball, dude.
Do it.
Seriously.
Do it. Promotion and relegation is the best way to stop anybody from fucking tanking. However,
I have a problem with tanking.
Yeah. The issue with that's the thing, isn't it? So it makes, if you're allowed to tank, parity becomes a lot easier over like a 3 or 4 year span. Like, that's the thing, isn't it? But cheers, man. Everybody hit the like button if you're still here. We're really going for it for this one. Like, but honestly, parity in the NFL is an awesome thing. But if you include relegation, it forces everybody to play hard all year.
Yeah, but there's no way you could bring a G League team into the NBA. No. They would get murdered.
No, it doesn't makes no sense. The way that American sports operate, that makes no fucking sense. It's the stupidest idea of all time. But it could be fun. Like, just every now and again, if you catch somebody tanking, just say fuck you and just like send them down. Like, if you're so obviously tanking, come on. Like, if you're so obviously tanking. Or if you win 0 games. That'd be fun. You don't win a game all season, you get relegated.
If you lose all 16 games, you get relegated, and you have to go play soccer for a year over in England in their worst league.
Yeah, definitely. You'll get some fucking legs broken if they play over there. In our worst leagues, it's just nutters like Vinnie Jones. They just go.
Oh, I'm sure it's like our minor league hockey. Everybody wants to.
Yeah, everybody's an absolute fucking psychopath. Like,
yes.
They're not there to play football.
That dude. So this is off track again too, but this is one of the greatest stories in sports. For me, I took my daughter to a Green Bay Gamblers game, which is their semi-pro hockey team. We used to go to a lot of them. There was a lot of fights, right? Yeah. Finally, the goalie for Peoria looks at the goalie from Green Bay and goes like this. They both dropped their shit to the center ice and threw down. When 2 goalies throw down, that's awesome.
Yeah, my favorite thing about watching, so we call it, so it's like Sunday league. So you play, it means you play on a Sunday. A lot of them are called social leagues. So what happens is you get guys, this happens in rugby in the lower leagues as well. I played for a rugby team in Wales in quite a rundown area in Cardiff. And what would happen a lot before the games is, especially this one guy, right? He used to play on the wing. And what he'd do is he'd down a Red Bull before going out, and he'd be on the bench. And while he's on the bench, he's smoking a cig, and then he gets called up off the bench, downs another Red Bull, runs on the pitch, and then after we're just shot in Jaeger bombs and drinking pints like straight after. Like that's how rugby rolls in Wales.
I think I gotta go watch some rugby in Wales. That's
in England, it's all like posh private schools. So when I used to play in England, like, took it really seriously, like, and we were really, really good. Don't want to say anything too much more than that. But then I played my first game in Wales, and it was like watching people smoke on the sidelines, and some guys were like fucking 24 stone, like running at me. You guys don't know stones, and
we do, because if you watch mixed martial arts, you do. But other than
right, okay, yeah. So they're like 23, 24 stone, and then they're running at me, who at the time was like 10, 11 stone and shit like that. It's like, what the fuck is going on? And I remember playing against. I remember when I was really young, so I was 16, and we played against a team in Wales. So we came down from England, played against the team in Wales, and one of the guys had a baby. Fuck you not, a mustache and a baby at 16 years old. I was like, what the fuck? How are we playing against this fucking guy?
Well, I'll leave you guys with this little tidbit that I know. I know a guy who works at the casino here in Green Bay. When Aaron Rodgers was back up to Brett Favre, he used to go sit and play slots at the casino and smoke a whole pack of Marlboros while doing it. So even top, I don't know if he still smokes, but even top NFL quarterbacks were putting down the heaters.
Good lad. But yeah. Oh, so by the way, my pick for tonight is the Bucks to win. I've talked myself into the Bucks.
All right. Well, there, we don't match up. Bucks Ravens. I got the Ravens, and the truth is I just hope Lamar puts up 50 fantasy points.
Yeah, I mean, I'm betting on Mike. I was trying to trade away Mike Evans like about 2 hours ago to get a number 1 running back, and now I have to keep him because Jamar Chase is injured, so I'm fucked.
But at least you got him still.
Oh yeah. But like, I don't know whether I'd still maybe prefer the number 1 running back. I don't know. We'll work out next week. Anybody from our fantasy league who's still watching, contact me with any trade details. I'm feeling I'm mixing shit up.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed tonight, and we will see you on Sunday for all of our picks and any news that may drop between now and then. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.